Sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed. Okay? Give that to RFK Jr.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
On November 22nd, 1963, Dallas was full of people eager to see President John F. Kennedy. Crowds lined the streets, waving as his open-top limousine made its way through Dealey Plaza. Then, everything changed. Gunshots were fired, Kennedy slumped over, and Jacqueline Kennedy reached for him. Not long after, the president was pronounced dead.
Developing tonight, the Trump administration has released thousands of classified files on JFK's 1963 assassination. President Trump ordered the release, aiming to uncover details about JFK, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s killings. Professional historians are still reviewing the new documents, which include insights on Lee Harvey Oswald and CIA.
He was 46. Kennedy's presidency lasted less than 3 years, but it covered key moments in Cold War history. He handled events like the Cuban Missile Crisis and the growing conflict in Vietnam. He pushed for civil rights legislation and supported the space race, promising to land a man on the moon. But his time in office ended suddenly, and many questions remain unanswered to this day. Within hours, police arrested 24-year-old Lee Harvey Oswald. He was a former Marine with known ties to pro-communist ideas. Authorities said he had fired 3 shots from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository.
Parkland Hospital, there has been a shooting. Parkland Hospital has been advised to stand by for a severe gunshot wound.
That's an unconfirmed report that the president was hit in the head. The president's wife, Jackie Kennedy, was not hurt. She walked into the hospital.
2 days later, Oswald was shot and killed by Jack Ruby, a local nightclub owner. From the start, there were doubts about the official story. Some witnesses claimed they heard shots coming from different directions. Ruby's actions raised even more suspicion. Was Oswald really the only shooter? Or was there more to the story? Earlier that day, Kennedy arrived in Dallas as part of a tour aimed at building political support ahead of the 1964 election. The goal was to ease tensions within the Democratic Party. Texas was divided, and not everyone supported Kennedy's policies. A month before the visit, Adlai Stevenson had been physically attacked while giving a speech in Dallas. On the morning of Kennedy's arrival, a local newspaper ran a full-page ad accusing him of being a communist sympathizer. Still, the welcome at Love Field Airport seemed positive. Kennedy and Jacqueline greeted the crowd. At 11:50 a.m., the motorcade began its 10-mile route through Dallas. Riding with them were Texas Governor John Connally and his wife Nellie. The streets were packed. At one point, Nellie Connally turned to Kennedy and said, "Mr. President, you can't say Dallas doesn't love you." Minutes later, shots were fired. At 12:30 p.m., the motorcade turned onto Elm Street. The first bullet either missed or caused a minor injury. The second hit Kennedy in the upper back and exited through his throat. The third struck his head. Governor Connally was also hit, suffering multiple wounds. Secret Service agent Clint Hill rushed to the car, climbing onto the back to protect the Kennedys. But the damage had already been done. The limousine sped to Parkland Memorial Hospital. Kennedy was pronounced dead at 1 p.m. Oswald was later seen leaving the book depository and was arrested after allegedly killing a Dallas police officer. He denied involvement, saying, "I'm just a patsy." Before he could be brought to trial, he was shot by Jack Ruby on live television. That afternoon, Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson took the oath of office on Air Force One. Jacqueline Kennedy stood next to him, still wearing her blood-stained suit. The country was in shock. In 1964, the Warren Commission released its findings. It concluded that Oswald acted alone. The report relied on eyewitness accounts, the Zapruder film, autopsy results, and the bullet analysis known as the single bullet theory. This theory suggested that one bullet passed through both Kennedy and Connally, but many people found it hard to believe. Witnesses said they heard shots from different directions, including from the area known as the grassy knoll. Others questioned whether Oswald could have fired 3 accurate shots that quickly using a bolt-action rifle. Oswald's murder while in custody raised more doubts. Some believed Ruby acted to prevent a trial that might have exposed others. The official story said it was a spontaneous act of revenge. The assassination of John F. Kennedy is still widely debated. Many theories have been proposed over the years. Some involve the CIA, organized crime, foreign governments, or internal factions in Washington. Even today, people continue to question whether the full story has ever been told. Lee Harvey Oswald is one of the most debated figures in American history. His unstable behavior, time in the military, defection to the Soviet Union, and strong political views have led many to question whether he acted on his own or was part of something bigger in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. His life was shaped by isolation, frustration, and a desire to find purpose. These factors came together and ended with him becoming the suspected killer of a U.S. president. Oswald was born on October 18, 1939, in New Orleans, Louisiana. His father died before he was born, leaving his mother, Marguerite Oswald, to raise 3 boys on her own. The family struggled financially and moved often, which made it difficult for Oswald to form lasting relationships. From a young age, he was quiet, awkward, and often described as smart but emotionally unstable. Psychological reports from his childhood said he had unrealistic ideas about himself and had problems managing anger. He left school at 16 and became focused on Marxist ideas. He read about communism and showed interest in the Soviet Union. At 17, Oswald joined the U.S. Marine Corps. He was trained as a sharpshooter and had above-average rifle skills. However, he had serious behavior problems. He went absent without permission, was disrespectful to superiors, and was court-martialed twice. One charge involved having an illegal firearm, and the other involved attacking a superior officer. During his time in the Marines, he began learning Russian, which was unusual for someone in the military at that time. In 1959, after leaving the Marines, Oswald defected to the Soviet Union. He gave up his U.S. citizenship and said he supported communism. When he arrived in Moscow, he asked for Soviet citizenship, but they didn't trust his reasons for coming. Instead, they sent him to Minsk, Belarus, where he worked in a radio factory. He married Marina Prusakova in 1961. Over time, he became disappointed with the Soviet system. In 1962, he returned to the U.S. with Marina. Though the FBI kept an eye on him, they didn't see him as a serious threat. Oswald and Marina moved to Texas, living in Dallas and Fort Worth. Oswald had trouble keeping jobs and often argued with coworkers. He became very focused on politics, but his beliefs were inconsistent. He said he was a Marxist and supported communism, but he also tried to get involved with right-wing groups. Some people believed he might have had connections to intelligence agencies. He strongly supported Fidel Castro and handed out pro-Castro flyers in New Orleans. He also tried to travel to Cuba but failed. His behavior raised questions, but at the time, no one viewed him as a serious threat. In October 1963, Oswald got a job at the Texas School Book Depository in Dallas. The building looked out over Dealey Plaza, where President Kennedy's motorcade was scheduled to pass on November 22nd. A few weeks earlier, Oswald had tried to kill General Edwin Walker, an anti-communist figure. He fired into Walker's home but missed. This showed he was willing to use violence for political reasons. On the day of the assassination, Oswald brought a rifle to work, hidden in a brown paper bag. He went to the 6th floor of the building and, according to investigations, fired 3 shots at Kennedy's motorcade, killing the president. Oswald left the building after the shooting. About an hour later, he shot and killed a Dallas police officer, J.D. Tippit. He was arrested in a movie theater. While in custody, he denied being involved and said, "I'm just a patsy." 2 days later, on November 24, 1963, Oswald was shot and killed by nightclub owner Jack Ruby while being transferred. The killing was shown live on television, which added to public suspicion that Oswald might have been silenced. In 1964, the Warren Commission said that Oswald acted alone. Many people disagreed. Several theories developed, including the idea that the CIA may have been involved, that the Mafia wanted revenge on Kennedy, or that anti-Castro Cubans were angry about the Bay of Pigs invasion. Others pointed to Oswald's time in the Soviet Union. None of these theories have been proven or fully dismissed. The truth about Oswald's role remains uncertain. Lee Harvey Oswald was a lonely, unstable man with shifting political views. His decision to defect to the Soviet Union, his attempts to promote communist ideas in the U.S., and his connection to the assassination of JFK have kept his name at the center of debate. Whether he acted alone or was part of something larger, his actions had a lasting effect on American history. On the day of the assassination, Lee Harvey Oswald was reportedly on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. He had a bolt-action Mannlicher Carcano rifle. The official report stated that he fired 3 shots. 1 missed and 2 hit. One of the most debated parts of the official version is the magic bullet theory. The Warren Commission claimed that 1 bullet hit President Kennedy in the back, exited through his throat, and then struck Governor Connally. It allegedly hit Connally's rib, broke his wrist, and ended up in his thigh. Yet the bullet was found almost completely intact on a hospital stretcher. Many critics questioned how a single bullet could cause that much damage and still be in near-perfect condition. 2 days later, as Oswald was being moved from the Dallas police headquarters to a county jail, Jack Ruby shot him at close range. This happened on live television. Ruby was a Dallas nightclub owner. He claimed he acted out of anger and wanted justice for Kennedy, but others believed he was trying to silence Oswald before he could talk. Ruby's connections to organized crime and the FBI led to more speculation. Some suspected that he wasn't acting on his own. Despite the public's doubts, the Warren Commission concluded in 1964 that Oswald acted alone. The commission rejected the idea of a second shooter. It said the physical evidence, witness reports, and Oswald's known movements supported the lone gunman theory. Still, many people weren't convinced. Witnesses said they heard shots from different directions. Oswald was killed before going to trial, and it wasn't clear how one person could carry out such a difficult attack. These questions led to decades of theories suggesting something bigger than a single man was behind Kennedy's death. Many people still believe there was a conspiracy. They argue that the Warren Commission ignored key evidence and didn't follow up on leads that pointed to others with clear motives. One popular theory involves the CIA. After the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, Kennedy blamed the agency and threatened to break it apart. Some believe the CIA saw him as a threat. The agency's history of planning assassinations abroad, including plots against Fidel Castro, added to these suspicions. Former CIA officers like E. Howard Hunt later suggested that the agency may have played a role. Files released in recent years showed the CIA had been keeping tabs on Oswald before the assassination. This raised questions about whether they knew what he planned, or even helped make it happen. Another theory focuses on the mafia. Robert Kennedy, the president's brother and attorney general, was aggressively going after organized crime. This came after the mafia allegedly helped JFK win key states in the 1960 election. Crime bosses like Sam Giancana, Carlos Marcello, and Johnny Roselli were believed to have connections with both the CIA and Cuba. Some think the killing was retaliation. Jack Ruby, who killed Oswald, had known links to the mafia. This led some to believe he was ordered to silence Oswald. FBI records include reports of mobsters bragging about their involvement in Kennedy's death, but no solid proof ever linked them directly to the crime. JFK's position on Vietnam created serious opposition within the military-industrial complex, a term used by President Dwight Eisenhower in his farewell address to describe the growing influence of the defense industry on national policy. Kennedy was reportedly thinking about pulling U.S. troops out of Vietnam, which would have hurt the profits of defense contractors and others who benefited from continued military involvement. Some documents from 1963 show that he was planning a gradual withdrawal. This plan went in the opposite direction of what later happened under President Lyndon B. Johnson, who escalated U.S. involvement. Because of this, some people believe that military officials, defense executives, or intelligence personnel saw Kennedy as a threat and may have worked to stop him from carrying out his plans. There are also theories that suggest someone inside the U.S. government was involved. Critics of the Secret Service have pointed to a number of strange security failures. These include the last-minute change to the Dallas motorcade route, the fact that agents were not positioned on the back of the president's limousine, something that was normally done, and the unexplained removal of key security members right before the shooting. Several eyewitnesses also reported seeing suspicious individuals in Dealey Plaza. One of the most talked about is the Umbrella Man, who some believe was giving a signal. There were also claims of more than one shooter, including reports of shots coming from the grassy knoll. These accounts challenge the official version that only one gunman was involved. In the 1970s, the House Select Committee on Assassinations reopened the case and concluded that JFK was probably killed as a result of a conspiracy, though they didn't name anyone specifically. Another theory that continues to be debated is possible Soviet or Cuban involvement. Lee Harvey Oswald had defected to the Soviet Union and stayed there for nearly 3 years. He also visited both the Soviet and Cuban embassies in Mexico City shortly before the assassination. He was reportedly trying to get a visa to enter Cuba. Because of the tension that followed the Cuban Missile Crisis, some believe Fidel Castro may have wanted Kennedy dead as revenge for CIA plots against him. Others have suggested that the KGB might have influenced or trained Oswald. Both Cuba and the USSR denied having anything to do with the assassination, knowing that if any link had been proven, it could have led to nuclear war. The killing of JFK is still one of the most heavily debated events in American history. There are so many different theories, missing records, and strange details that the case continues to raise questions. Many still wonder if Oswald really acted alone, or if there was a larger plan behind it. One of the most disputed parts of the official story is the magic bullet theory. This idea claims that a single bullet hit Kennedy in the upper back, exited through his throat, then struck Texas Governor John Connally, causing a total of 7 wounds. Supporters of this theory say the bullet followed a strange but possible path. Critics argue that it's hard to believe one bullet could cause so much damage and still remain mostly intact. Some experts say the angle of the bullet doesn't match how Kennedy and Connally were sitting in the car. This has led many to believe that more shots were fired from other locations, especially the grassy knoll. The grassy knoll has been one of the most focused-on areas in the case. Many eyewitnesses said they heard gunfire from that direction. In the Zapruder film, which shows the assassination in real time, Kennedy's head appears to move backward and to the left, which some experts say looks more like a shot from the front. A police officer and other witnesses even ran toward the knoll right after the shots were fired. The Warren Commission dismissed these claims, saying that the sound evidence didn't support the idea of a second shooter. However, the House Select Committee later reviewed audio tapes and said there was a strong chance a second gunman was involved. Another issue is the handling of JFK's autopsy. Doctors at Parkland Hospital in Dallas said they saw a large exit wound in the back of Kennedy's head, which would mean he was shot from the front. But the official autopsy at Bethesda Naval Hospital stated that the fatal shot came from behind. This supported the lone gunman theory. There were also claims that Kennedy's brain went missing, making it impossible to double-check the bullet's path. On top of that, some X-rays and medical records disappeared, and people have raised concerns that parts of the autopsy may have been changed to match the official story. Some think the Secret Service moved too fast in taking control of the body, possibly to keep any evidence that didn't fit the narrative from getting out. One of the most troubling parts of the whole case is the number of missing documents and unanswered questions. These gaps continue to make people doubt the official version and believe that the full story has never been told. The Warren Commission based its findings on evidence and testimony that have since been questioned. Some police officers and medical staff later claimed their original statements were changed or ignored. Thousands of documents related to the assassination are still classified, despite repeated demands for full transparency. Several files were supposed to be released in 2017, but the U.S. government delayed full disclosure again, citing national security concerns. That raises a simple question. Why would information from 1963 still be considered sensitive today? Critics believe these withheld files could include information pointing to a larger conspiracy. This might involve intelligence agencies, organized crime, or even foreign governments. The gaps and contradictions in the official story have kept suspicions alive. From the so-called magic bullet to eyewitnesses near the grassy knoll, issues with the autopsy, and missing evidence, there are many unanswered questions. Whether this is the result of a cover-up or just poor investigation, it has led to ongoing debate. Was Oswald really acting alone, or was he used as a scapegoat? Over time, thousands of documents have been declassified, but many questions still don't have clear answers. Some files show that the CIA and FBI were monitoring Oswald before the assassination. Others reveal that Oswald visited Soviet and Cuban embassies in Mexico City shortly before the shooting. One memo from the FBI, written the day after the assassination, shows that J. Edgar Hoover was worried the public wouldn't accept the official story, which has made some people suspect that the narrative was being controlled early on. Recently released files have also included references to Operation Northwoods, a plan where the U.S. military proposed fake attacks to justify invading Cuba. This has added to speculation that powerful figures had a reason to remove Kennedy, who didn't support military action against Cuba. New forensic technology has helped re-examine some of the case details. Some researchers say that updated ballistics testing and computer simulations support the official version. Others still challenge the physics of the magic bullet theory. There are also questions about the Zapruder film. Some experts have studied it frame by frame and come to different conclusions. Some support a single shooter, while others say there must have been more than one. Another point of interest is audio analysis from police radio recordings made in Dealey Plaza. A 1979 report from the House Select Committee on Assassinations said there may have been at least 4 shots, which would suggest a second shooter. Public opinion has shown steady doubt. Polls have consistently found that more than 60% of Americans believe a conspiracy was involved. The Warren Commission's work has faced criticism for conflicts of interest, missing evidence, and rushed conclusions. Because of this, many people continue to question the official explanation. Theories range from involvement by the CIA or the Mafia to Cold War-related motives. Will we ever know the full story? More documents are expected to be released, but some believe that the most important evidence is gone forever, either lost or destroyed. If a conspiracy did exist, those responsible are likely no longer alive. Still, modern forensic tools, AI-assisted analysis, and growing pressure for full disclosure could eventually bring new information to light. Until then, the assassination of John F. Kennedy remains a mystery that continues to divide opinions and spark debate. After decades of conflicting reports and unanswered questions, one thing hasn't changed. People still wonder if Oswald acted alone, or if he was part of something much bigger. So now we ask you, who do you think killed JFK? Was Oswald the lone gunman, or was a larger conspiracy at work? Let us know in the comments.